Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah, and I am a master's student at the University of North Texas. And I'm conducting my thesis research on the space and habitat use of three-toed box turtles on a habitat island in North Texas. So there are 6 subspecies of box turtles in North America, and the specific species that I am working on is the three-toed box turtle in the bottom right. They're kind of a little bit plain, but they're very cute. And you can see their geographic distribution on the left. So the species Terrapin carolina is listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, but the IUCN does not break that down into subspecies. However, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department has listed this specific subspecies as a species of greatest conservation need in Texas. Box turtle species have been declining across the nation, and causes include things like collection for the illegal pet trade, habitat loss and fragmentation, and road mortality. So box turtles can be incredibly long-lived. I've seen reports from anywhere from 30 to 100 years in the literature. They are omnivorous. They'll pretty much eat anything you put in front of them. From roadkill to mushrooms to berries, they will eat all of it and they will love it. Unfortunately, there are also some things that like to eat them. Their predators, especially at my study site, include coyotes and raccoons. So Texas is in the southwestern portion of their species distribution, and there really hasn't been a whole lot of research done on these guys in Texas. I haven't been able to find anything in the literature about their home range sizes, habitat use, or population sizes within Texas. And there's only one published manuscript on their reproduction. So therefore, my questions are a little bit basic and more about natural history than anything else. So my first is, are there differences in home range size and habitat selection between seasons and sexes? And my second question is, does sex or body size influence home range size and habitat selection? So here, once again, we can see the three-toed box turtles distribution in Texas, and you can see that Denton County is right on the western edge of that distribution. And then within Denton County, my specific study site is the Louisville Lake Environmental Learning Area. The Louisville Lake Environmental Learning Area has gone through a lot of changes over the years. So this is a land cover map showing Leela in 1992. And as you can see, Leela is mainly surrounded by pasture land and cropland, as well as there being some pasture land and cropland within Leela itself. There's some urbanization, but not a whole lot. And there's definitely still ways that if they needed to, animals could disperse. Now looking forward, Leela in 2016, the urban sprawl of the DFW Metroplex has completely boxed Leela in. It would be incredibly difficult for any of these box turtles to disperse. And the habitat itself at Leela has also changed. So now it's mainly deciduous forest, grassland and shrubland, and then some emergent wetlands. So whenever we find a turtle, we are using shell notching to identify individuals, and I'm using the North America code. Each outer scoot has a specific letter it's associated with, and then each scoot that you mark adds that letter to the turtle's ID code. I'm also taking measurements such as carapace length and carapace width and weight, all of those good things. Sometimes our turtles are not very happy with all the handling we have to do. The little turtle in the bottom right is like, what do you think you're doing? Handling me, messing with me? But it's for a good purpose, and we try to be quick. We are attaching hollow hill transmitters so that we can track them using VHF telemetry. And we're attaching these to the scoots using 5-minute quickset epoxy. And of course, I'm always taking a ton of pictures to document everything that's going on and to document each specific turtle. As far as our VHF radio telemetry goes, for 2020, we tracked turtles once a week, and we used radio telemetry to home in on their location, where we recorded their GPS waypoint, as well as some different microhabitat variables. So the microhabitat measurements we took included just a general estimate of percent canopy cover. And then we also did percent understory cover and percent ground cover within a meter squared centered on the turtle. To go along with that, we also took ambient temperature, relative humidity, and ground surface temperature. And we always have a lot of fun in the field. This other picture I threw in here is one of my amazing field assistants, Barb, and the plants behind her are poison ivy, and they are as tall as she is. So field work was fairly interesting. Here is just a map showing really just a subset of the home ranges for my turtles in 2020. I want to point out that there is like a pretty good group of turtles here that have overlapping home ranges. And I mean, not small, but I mean, relatively small home ranges. And then here, there's a stark difference between those sizes and the home range sizes of F1, who's in the red, and M10, who is in the blue. So as far as our home range sizes go, we had a total of 8 females and 10 males. Each individual had between 10 to 31 points recorded, and a lot of that just depended on when we found them during the year. So if we found a turtle in the summer, it didn't have as many points as if we'd found the turtle in the spring. And we can see that the mean home range areas for males and females is fairly similar, 2.7 and 2.6. But I wanted to point out that there is that really wide range of home range sizes. So for females, especially, anywhere from 0.2 of a hectare to 8.6 hectares. And you can see that in this box plot, just how spread out those values are. These are just some summary statistics on my microhabitat characteristics. First, we have percent cover. So the orange bar is percent shell cover. And I just recorded the amount of the shell that was covered by either leaf litter or vegetation. So basically a measure of visual concealment. Canopy cover was my general estimation of like canopy cover in the area where the turtle was found. And then understory cover was the percent cover in a 1 meter squared area centered on the turtle. So we can see that turtles were associated with about 50% understory cover and 70 to 80% canopy cover. And then in our other graph of percent ground cover, ground cover was again measured in 1 meter squared centered on the turtle. And obviously, most of our turtles were found on litter, with very few locations being on bare, and then very little in grass, almost none in forb, and we only found 1 turtle that was ever in water, but it was there, so we needed to include it. In 2021, we are going to continue our radiotelemetry, but we'll also be supplementing that with GPS data loggers. I'm going to be trying to manufacture my own GPS data loggers, based on a paper by Kane and Cross in 2018. And they've allowed all of their schematics and coding to be open source. So that is what I will be using to model my loggers after. And this image on the right is from their publication. So you can get an idea of what that's going to end up looking like. We're also going to be using iButton temperature loggers to Well, one, they're going to be epoxied to the turtle, so we know the temperatures that the turtles are experiencing. And then we're also going to set them out in a grid system around Leela, so we can get an idea of the thermal gradient that is available to turtles that they could be using. I'm going to be conducting macrohabitat analysis, which I have unfortunately not been able to start yet, using the land fire cover class data. And then I will further be analyzing the microhabitat data that I presented here. I have a ton of people to acknowledge, but I'll try to keep it brief. Firstly, Scott Heister was running this project before I came along to turn it into my thesis. So he's helped me tremendously in the field and with teaching me how to use radiotelemetry. I couldn't have done this without him. So huge shout out to Scott. And then also thanks to the Friends of Leela nonprofit for funding everything that we've done so far. And then the many other master naturalists and undergraduate volunteers that I've had come help me out in the field. And then questions, and I'll leave it at this slide. I do have a Facebook page if you guys are interested. And that'll be it. Thank you guys for watching.